the square. So completing the square, I'm going to go ahead and write down my problem in each section. I have x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. I have 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 equals 0. And I have 3x squared minus 11x minus 12 equals 0. I'm going to go ahead and close Desmos off for now, so we got the information we need. So what we do when we're completing the square is we're going to make a square. First things first, I need to open up a place for there to be that square available. So I'm like opening up a gap. So I'm going to take my constant term and move it to the other side. So I have x squared plus 2x, and then it's going to be equal to 3. So if I want to make this a square, just like you realized in your warm-up today, x, and then I'm going to take this number, take that number and split it in half. So 2 divided in half is plus 1, and then that gives me this number. That's also going to need to be squared in order to tell me what this last number is. So 1 squared would be 1 as well. But I can't just like add that 1, right? Because if I do that, then I'm making it unbalanced. I'm making it heavier on the left side. So what I do one side, I also have to do to the other. So now what we see is that that entire left side, this entire thing here, can be boiled down into this, x plus 1 squared. And on the right side, we're going to have equals 3 plus 1, 4. Right? So that's convenient to us because now, as we know, if I want to get rid of a square, I can take the square root of both sides, and I get x plus 1 is equal to positive or negative 2. That's convenient because now I can say, okay, x plus 1 could be 2, or x plus 1 could be negative 2. And that's because like the answer could be positive 2 or the answer could be negative 2. I can solve this in a normal way. Subtract 1 on each side, get 1. Subtract 1 on each side, I get x equals negative 3. So we can see here, like these answers that we just got, this 1 and this negative 3, match up to the problems that we got from up here, the negative 3 and the 1, and the negative 3 and the 1. Obviously, factoring is by far the fastest way to do this problem. We're mostly going to use this for ones that aren't factorable, like the last one. So let's take a look at that again. This time we have a 2 in front. And as always, that 2 is going to complicate things. So what I do first is divide the 2 out. I'm going to leave it in fraction form. So this one will cancel, leave me x squared minus 5 squared, or 5 over 2x minus 3 halves equals 0. I'm going to send the negative 3 halves to the other side to make room. So I'm adding 3 halves on both sides. That gives me positive 3 halves, leaving this here, just like that. Opens up that empty space in order to be able to complete the square. So when I go to complete the square, I'm taking half of this, right? So I'm taking half of the b term. In this case, it's negative. So half of 5 over 2 is 5 over 4. So then I need to square that in order to put it right here. So I'm going to square the top and square the bottom. I know that it's going to turn positive because a negative times a negative is a positive. And then I would have 5 squared, 25 over 16. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other, just like that. So on the right side of the equation, I can do that in my head. I can try to do that on the calculator. I'm going to multiply both the top and the bottom by 8 here. So this really is 24 over 16 plus the 25 over 16 gives me 49 over 16. The reason I like to use this in a fraction form is because when it's in fraction form, it's much easier to take the square root. So when I take the square root here to cancel with a square, I'm also going to take the square root of the top and the square root of the bottom. That's how we would do the square root of this whole side. It is really just broken down into the square root of the top, square root of the bottom. So I would have x minus 5/4 is equal to square root of 49 is 7, square root of 16 is 4. So we end up with a less complicated process in the long term. And remember that that's positive or negative because we took the square root of it. So I'm going to split it into its two possible answers. I have x minus 5/4 could be positive 7/4. X minus 5/4 could be negative 7/4. Adding 5/4 on both sides. 7/4 plus 5/4 would be 12/4. 12 over 4 equals 3. So we have x equals 3. And then on this side, I'm going to add 5/4 on both sides. That's going to cancel these. Gives me x equals negative 2/4. Or as we know, that can simplify to negative 1/2. So we can see the same negative 1/2 and same 3 as we had up here when we graphed it out. Right? Obviously graphing pretty simple, and factoring fairly simple as well. All right, y'all, you're doing so good. Okay, let's deal with this unfactorable one. So we've got this guy. So as you remember, we're going to divide everything by a if there's an a. Right, so I have x squared minus 11/3 x minus 4 equals 0. Take the extra thing and move it out. I'm going to add 4 on both sides so that you have x squared minus 11x, leaving some room to make that square, equals 4. From there, I'm going to make my square by taking x minus, I'm going to do half of this, it would be 11/6. I'm squaring it. Whatever I have, I need a square to put here. So that would be positive. 11 squared would be 121 over 6 squared is 36. So I'm adding that to both sides because what I do to one side, got to do to the other. That's going to be equal to some crazy big number. I'm probably going to do on my calculator. Let's see if Desmos can help me out. Put it back here. So here I have 4 plus, I'm going to put my division here like this. So I have that number there, which is 7.36111, forever and ever. And remember that that's, I haven't taken the square root of it yet, so it's not plus or minus. And then I need to get rid of this thing, so I'm going to take the square root, take the square root. So on here, I'm going to take the square root. Let me see here. Functions, miscellaneous. Nope, just kidding. So it doesn't look like there's an easy way to take the square root, unless it will let me just drag it. Nope, so I'm going to put the square root out here in front. Maybe not. So I need the square root of plus 121 over 36. And that's going to be that crazy number. X minus 11/6 is equal to positive or negative 2.713. I'm going to write it with 3 decimal places. I'm going to put it over here. X minus 11/6 could be positive, or x minus 11/6 could be that negative answer. There. So I'm going to go ahead and add 11/6 on both sides. So I'm going to add 11 over 6 like this. And I get x equals 4.564 as one of my answers. Or I might have had the negative version of this that's being added there. and I get x equals negative 0.88. 88, because that's going to round up there. 880. Which hopefully, when we check, right, when we check there, absolutely we see that this and this, even though they're crazy decimals, they still come up with what you get on the graph. Although they're much more careful than our graph could have been. So, pretty crazy, y'all. Go ahead and try the ones that are on the front. They should work out a little bit easier because they're not like crazy fractions already. Let me know. Thanks, you.